part of it was a lot of the designers in that small market in Michigan recognized me from being the stock boy at the Robert Allen big
Oh.
showroom. So I
Hmm.
think some of them were like, oh, so now you want to be a decorator too. Remember, this is the rise of HGTV with all the
Hmm.
housewives who now want to become a decorator. And
Right.
everyone can do it. Anyone can do it. DIY. It's all the DIY craze. And so I think with
Yeah.
some of the more established big name designers, they were kind of like, who's this guy think he is?
You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to episode 204 of Design Curious Podcast. Today on the podcast, I have a treat for you. We've got Corey Damen Jenkins. It was such a treat to talk with him. He's such a wonderful person and designer. Let me tell you a little bit more about him in case you are living under a rock and don't know who he is. He is an internationally acclaimed interior designer, masterclass instructor, author, trendsetter, and mentor who is an inductee to both the Architectural Digest AD 100, Elle Decor A-List, and First Dibs 50. Corey's work has been featured on the covers of House Beautiful, Traditional Home, and can be found among the pages of those as well as AD, Vanity Fair, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, House and Gardens, Detroit News, and many more. As a Rizzoli Publications author, Corey's two books, Design Remix, A New Spin on Traditional Rooms, released back in March 2021, and Design Reimagined, A Fresh and Colorful Take on Timeless Rooms, which was released in September of 2025, have received wide acclaim globally. Last May, Corey launched a YouTube channel with one-of-a-kind series, also called Design Reimagined, for an inside look into Corey's design process and execution. As a licensor, Corey has distinguished collections with Maitland Smith, Hancock & Moore for furniture, Kravet for textiles and wall coverings, and most recently with Eichholz for a gorgeous lighting collection, which premiered in Paris in January of this year. All right, now let's get into our interview with Corey. Hi, Corey. Welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have you today.
Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I have had the pleasure of hearing you on other podcasts, especially Business of Home. I was so inspired by your story of how you got into design. So I'd love for you to share some of that here. First of all, let's start back to when you knew that you wanted to be a designer. Like how early
Oh my
was
gosh.
it?
Oh my
What
God.
were the signs?
The signs were so crystal clear. I don't know why my parents were surprised later that I wanted to, go into this as a full-time career. You can look at some photos of me at age 5 and 6 and 7 years of age. I'm the eldest of 3 boys. I was the only child that knew how to put himself together as far as his clothing and outfits and mixing and matching of patterns and colors and textures to go to school. My mother never had to worry about me. So I always loved the world of color and texture as it pertains to fashion, certainly.
Hmm.
And my mother always enjoyed reading magazines like House Beautiful, and I think it was Red Book, and Good Housekeeping, and Better Homes and Garden, and Architectural Digest. And so those magazines were often laying around the house. And so when my brothers were playing basketball and other sports and band or whatever they were playing the instruments, I was reading those shelter magazines and helping my mom pick out color palettes for her home because she was always remodeling, redecorating with every new wave, every new trend that came through in the 70s and 80s and 90s. She was always like the first to get out there with the mauve in the 80s or the peach and green in the 90s. And so
Yeah.
she would ask my opinion on stuff. And I think there was something about your parents or your mother specifically dignifying your opinion as a child with what
Hmm.
you thought she should do. And it didn't give me the big head, but it's kind of like that child who does like paintings in school,
Hmm.
Rebecca, and the parents put the paintings on the fridge for everyone to see. I think it was something about my mom asking my viewpoint on design and decor that made me
Hmm.
feel kind of important, like my thoughts mattered. And
Yeah.
then I think that obsession with design just kind of grew from there.
Hmm. Yeah, that validation is so nice. I had a similar story as well because my mom was constantly updating the home too and went through all those fashions in the 90s, 80s, and I remember like having a very strong opinion towards some fluffy couch that they were looking at. Like, if you buy that sofa, I am not going to sit in it. And they did not buy it. So, like, having that kind of sway over what my parents chose was really like, I don't
It's
know, it's like a
empowering.
drug almost. If you had a taste of it, you're like,
It's a
opinion,
high. It's such a high.
my opinion matters. So I can relate to that, how you got started. Well, that's a lot of designers start out that way too. We just like know from the beginning that we're creative souls. So bring us along to where you started your career then as a designer.
Well, I think that throughout the years that followed, especially in my teenage years and graduating from high school and post graduation, that's when I began to really focus in on what I wanted to do as an adult. And studying interior design was very important to me. My parents did allow me to attend a technical college to begin the process, if you will, of studying architecture, not interior decorating or design. My father was a very patriarchal mindset,
Mhm.
to him, decorating the home was like cooking and gardening, like women's work, like very sexist kind of, I think, mindset, in my opinion. So I was careful not to categorize my interest as interior decorating because he would never have gone for that. But architecture was something that he thought was a bit more masculine, I guess. I don't know.
Dignified.
And so I know it's silly, but so I moved from Michigan, which is where I was born and raised, and went to go pursue interior design and architecture. Let me be more clear, architecture. That was the guys. But I did in New York City and pursued that for about 2 years in the mid 1990s. And then it got to the point where there was a change in circumstances and I had to move back to Michigan. And my dad was like, listen, this is not New York where you have Wall Street and biopharmaceuticals and fashion and all these different pipelines of wealth trickling into one big metropolis like the Big Apple. In Michigan, we have one pipeline as far
Mm.
as revenue for our town, our city, our state, and that is making cars.
Mhm.
Ford, GM, and Chrysler. So get a real job, snap your head out of it, get your head out of the dreams, and come down to earth. I don't want any starving artists for children in my household. And I think that he felt that my pursuing interior design, Rebecca, was really a bit of a pipe dream because at the time in the 1990s, there wasn't anyone that looked like me really in the magazines that my mother and I were reading back then. My
Mhm.
dad did not know that it would be me. Years later, that would be the first person of color to get the front cover of House Beautiful magazine in 125 years of publishing. So that was, years apart, right? So at the
Yeah.
time, I understood why he felt I didn't have a shot in hell at making interior design a career. So I pivoted into the automotive industry. I started out in human resources. I started out actually as a receptionist, to be frank. Did that for about 2 years, and then a job opening in one of the purchasing departments at our company. It was a tier one automotive manufacturing facility. So I moved from HR over to purchasing, did that for about 8 years. And then the Great Recession hit in 2007, and I got laid off from my job.
Yeah, many of us did.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
millions of people. So when that took place, I started to think about what the next chapter was going to be. And I took on a position working at a showroom at the local Michigan Design Center to kind of just, dip my toe back into the design.
Yeah.
I will admit to you and your listeners that my last couple of years there at my automotive business sector job,
Mhm.
I was a bit checked out. My heart was really expanding towards interior design to the
Mhm.
point where I was surfing the internet looking at AD and other design related, decorating related topics on the internet. I don't know why I didn't realize that the IT department could track what I was looking at on the,
Oh.
you know, so, I don't know why I thought that if I just close out this window and my boss walks by,
Yeah.
that no one knows what I'm doing here but me. Kind of naive. But, I'm also, in my 20s, and I think I'm a know-it-all, right? I'm saying that to your listeners to say that I was checked out because I really was creatively unfulfilled. And so when I got
Yeah.
laid off, I was not surprised because I knew my heart wasn't with it. So I figured if I dip my toe into working at a showroom that sold furnishings and fabrics and the interior design community, that might be a good segue into design. So I took up that position working as a stockman, wiping down mirrors, taking out the trash, wrapping up artwork in mirrors, for designers who are very snobby, picking up furniture and putting in the back of their SUVs, all of the Cinderella type tasks. This was a fall from grace from my very, high-end, affluent lifestyle I had when I was working for the big three. Now I'm a stock boy, Cinderfell, as I mentioned. But I did it for 4 months and I got laid off from that job. And that was 2008. That's when the Lehman Brothers crash and everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
was laid off with like several other people. That's when I decided to, okay, let's maybe pursue a full-time venture where I can't be outsourced. Because up till now, I've been basically a name and a salary listed on a green and white horizontally striped spreadsheet. And
Mm-hmm.
executives who don't know who I am are going through and just scratching my name out. And I'm tired of giving other people control over my
Yeah.
destiny. And so that's when I decided to launch the design firm. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So I think that there's probably some listeners who can relate to what you were saying about being checked out from your job before you got laid off, because I talked to so many designers, even through my mentorship program, of them being in a career transition from one to the other because they finally realize that they're wanting to pursue their passion and it's taking over their life. It's like starting to scream out that like I need to be doing design, like not finance or whatever it is that they're coming from. So good. I mean, good that you realize that you're like, oh, I should actually be in design. So
Yeah, like
yeah.
life is short, and I realized just how quickly, I had expected I was going to retire from my automotive business sector position. You work 30 years and then you retire, get your pension,
Hmm.
you go home. And so there's a bit of an upset there when I was laid off unexpectedly and laid off again unexpectedly. But the default for me, the gravity within me continued to point towards interior design. So I mapped out the nicest areas in Michigan to start thinking about a way to find my first clients. I got a GoDaddy.com website up with my little URL.
Nice.
It said Corey Damen Jenkins coming soon to a home near you. That was my little slogan back then.
Nice.
I thought it was so sharp. I was so but the phone didn't ring
Mm,
because I was, Google result number 15,995
sure. Yeah.
all the way at the bottom of the heap. And so that's when I said, okay, well, maybe if the phone's not ringing, the business is not coming to me, maybe I should go to the business.
Hmm.
So I embarked on a door knocking campaign. I went from house to house looking for clients. If I saw a house that I thought should be, redecorated, I would knock on that door. If I saw a house being built, I would stop by that property and ask for the architect or the local builder or the homeowners. There was gated community subdivisions. I would lie in wait like a spider in a web, waiting for a homeowner to pull up with their car and type in their code for the gates to open up. And then they would pull in, I would pull in after them, and I would like pull off to the side of the road and get out. And this is happening in the dead of winter, by the way.
Mm,
So I'm getting out in the dead of winter. It's freezing. I'm wearing a full-fledged suit, heavy coat, boots, because Michiganders always use their mudrooms and their basement entries during the winter. They don't plow their front sidewalks. So I had the privilege of walking through, 2 feet of snow at
yeah.
times to get to the front door. And it was a real, medley of experiences. I had homeowners slam doors in my face, not answer the door at all, take my information down and then not call, invite me in for all my free ideas, and then
Mm,
disappear and ghost me when I would ask for a letter of agreement. I got called the N word twice. I
oh
had
my
three
goodness.
families set their dogs out to chase me off the property. So I had set a goal for myself of 1,000 doors. And by 700, I'm like, okay, this is not working out. Let me revise this goal from 1,000 to 800 doors. And if I don't get a hit by door 800, just go get a job at Starbucks and wait this recession thing out. And at the 779th door, a doctor and his wife invited me in and gave me my first big project. We got it professionally photographed when the renovation was completed. Finally gave my very thirsty website 7 photos for a portfolio. And then 3 weeks later, HGTV's casting executives saw my work online. I was finally registering on Google for once. If it was Google, maybe it wasn't Google, Rebecca. Was it Google back then? It would have been, no, was
Um,
it Yahoo?
well, yeah, we used a lot of Yahoo. Uh,
MSN maybe?
mm-hmm.
Whatever the,
Yeah,
the
Bing
platforms
or
were. Yeah, Bing. Yeah, exactly. Regardless, the other one was Google, but
Alta
whatever it
Vista.
was, I was finally showing up and
Yeah.
I cast my first television show. The competition,
Wow.
Design Star competition. I won. And that catapulted us to the next level.
Yeah. Corey, that is amazing that you did 779 homes and that like you even kept track of it. And I think most people would have given up after, 25, maybe. Like I probably would. Like, how do you have so much grit? Like, what caused you to have so much resilience to be like, no, what, like another 100, another 100, I can do it. That's the stamina that a lot of, I mean, that's required for entrepreneurship, first of all, but like a lot of designers don't have that. How did you do that? That's just
Well,
amazing.
I think that desperation creates warriors. I really
Mm,
do. I think desperation can forge or create warriors from stone. Like we're being chiseled out of nothing, if you will, or from a block of despair. Sometimes a beautiful sculpture can take shape. And I
hmm
think the unexpected layoffs twice back to back, Rebecca, I think chiseled out of me, out of this block of I don't want to say boredom, but I was unfulfilled. I was encased in this stone of stagnant, a stagnant worldview, just not moving forward, not moving backward, just not moving. And I think that the unexpected layoffs chiseled out of that a new sculpture, a new thing, like a
mm,
phoenix rising. Something else was born from that. And once you start seeing it take shape, you don't want to stop. But the other thing that kind of drove me, honestly, was I had bills to pay.
yeah.
Just because you're unemployed doesn't mean your house note, your car note stops coming. And I certainly wanted to keep my credit in A condition, A-line condition. So I had to continue fighting to find that first client. Now, did I avail myself of government programs? I was embarrassed to do that. I didn't want to go down there and get in line for unemployment insurance, but I had to do it. Did I stop applying for other jobs in the purchasing sector? Of course not. I continue applying for other jobs where I have been in the
hmm
last 10 years for HR and for purchasing. So it wasn't like I was just knocking on doors. It
hmm
was all of it,
Okay. Yeah.
whoever I'm throwing down multiple fishing lines, any fish that wanted to come into the boat, just grab the line and come on in. And it just happened to be that the 779th drawer actually bit and took hold. And it was yummy when I ate the fish. It was great.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Okay, so let me also ask, did you have any mentors or people that you were modeling your business after or looked up to, or how did you kind of you launched your business? I know that HGTV picked you up as well, and so that catapulted you, but you kind of have to have systems and everything in order to take on all of those clients. So how did you get that structured?
So this is going to sound awful, but I'm just going to keep it crazy real with you and your listeners. There was a tremendous amount of gatekeeping actually in
Mm,
that era during the Great Recession. The design community, especially in Michigan, was very territorial, very protective. I mean, I couldn't even get people to even give me the phone number for their favorite painter or their favorite
mm,
electrician or plumber. People were always like, "Oh, but he's so busy. Oh, she's unavailable to do your window treatments. I'm so sorry. I mean, she's working for me right now, and she's swamped for 6 months." And I'm like, "Are you their PR agent? Like, you're just a customer. Like,
yeah.
let me figure that out for myself." I think people back then were very condescending. And I think too, Rebecca, part of it was a lot of the designers in that small market in Michigan recognized me from being the stock boy at the Robert Allen big
Oh.
showroom. So I
hmm
think some of them were like, oh, so now you want to be a decorator too. Remember, this is the rise of HGTV with all the
hmm
housewives who now want to become a decorator. And
Right.
everyone can do it. Anyone can do it. DIY. It's all the DIY craze. And so I think with
Yeah.
some of the more established big name designers, they were kind of like, who's this guy think he is?
hmm
But I got a lot of pushback, unfortunately. Not a lot of help at all. I did reach out to a couple of designers that I looked up to in the industry via Facebook, because Facebook was the big thing.
hmm
And I sent them lengthy love letters, just DMs of how much I honored them. I love their work and would appreciate any mentorship or any advice. Every single last one of them, Rebecca, read the DMs and it said read. So
mm
I was left on read receipt. So what I ended up doing was falling back on my business acumen from having run, multi-million dollar budgets when I was with the other, the big three automotive world.
Yeah.
Hiring my accountant was my first hire, someone to
Hmm.
manage the money and the accounting. And I just basically figured it out.
Yeah.
Did I make mistakes along the way? Absolutely. But I have to say, there wasn't anyone that kind of gave me support during that era. It
Mm.
was tough. It was very tough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, that just proves that the things that I do tell my people coming through my program for mentorship is that you can bring all of those skills from your other jobs, from your other careers forward into, and it's only going to help your design career, right? So
Yeah.
you reached in and you kind of bootstrapped your business. So that's great. And of course, it's been so successful now over the last 20 or so years. So looking back at all of that, and I know you've got so much more ahead of you and a couple books and everything, but what has been maybe some of the highlights or some things that you really would want to bring forward as like, this was a turning point in my career?
Highlights for me I would say, have been the ability to be able to give back to others in the community in a way that was not shown towards me when I needed it. I always told myself that if I was ever blessed to climb the ladder of success to the top, I would not pull the ladder up after me. I would leave it down, but I would also leave the ladder down, Rebecca, with rungs in the ladder, not just leaving down two stilts. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, here are two stilts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have an electrician. He's really busy. Okay, I can't climb with that. That does
Mm-hmm.
nothing for me, right? So it's more about actually helping people and sharing actual information. How do we charge? How do we produce a revenue, a profit margin? How do we manage a difficult client? How do we keep our contractors in check? When's the best time to hire a staff member? I've dedicated my professional ministry, if you will, to trying to be a bit more transparent. It's not something that feels threatening to do that
Mm-hmm.
because no one can do what I do. I can't do what the next designer does. We all are individual artists. So therefore, giving back is kind, it's free, it takes nothing to share. I really enjoy speaking with people from all around the world who get my two books, and their books are filled with advice and life stories and challenges and tips on how to do things. And they write me and they're like, oh my God, I'm switching over from being a nurse to an interior designer. Oh my God, I was actually in school to become a lawyer, but now I'm switching and going over to design or
Yeah.
architecture. And that's just it's a huge blessing for me.
Yeah, it is. And I know that you have some wonderful brand partnerships, but you're also very visible at a lot of the markets and everything on panels and definitely sharing that way as well. I know with the designers who are attending and answering questions. So I think that's just great that you're paying it forward. I think that the industry has kind of shifted a little, that we are starting to see it be more open and sharing and rising tide lifts all boats type of mentality. So I think that's much improved.
I think you're absolutely right. And honestly, we must do this. There's a lot of threats about AI and a lot of concerns about AI kind of blowing away the interior design community or really all creative industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think AI is a threat to us. I think we are a threat to ourselves as designers. If we don't learn to band together and create standards of excellence, just like lawyers have a bar of excellence and doctors have to go to a residency, we should be setting about standards to hold each other to account to keep our industry healthy and to protect what we do as an industry, to protect us from the threat of being, eviscerated by something like AI. I had a young lady come up to me in Richmond a few days ago and I was speaking there and she was like, aren't you worried about AI eliminating us as an industry? My clients coming to our meetings with fully AI rooms, like whole schemes they designed. And she's like, why should I pay you this extra design fee when I can go online with AI and just chat GBT my own concepts? And so I said to her, I can go online if I have a cough or some sort of headache. I can go online to Google and Google my symptoms
Mm-hmm.
and come up with what I think might be the reason why I have a headache or some other malady. That does not make me a doctor. You know, I
Yeah.
can Google recipes online and look at photos of a great dish. That does not make me a chef. So you
Mm-hmm.
still need designers to actually make what AI is creating
Mm-hmm.
a reality. And
Yeah.
so I think we need to be helping each other as an industry to keep ourselves sharp so we
Yeah.
not only survive, but we also thrive in this era.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we have a tendency to undervalue all the things that we do as designers and what we bring to the table too, because it comes to us so naturally and intuitively that AIs can't replace some of that. And also, there's a million decisions, a million moving parts, and you need a person in front and center handling all of that. And so I agree with you. I don't think it's going to come for us, but we have to remember the value that we bring, right? And make sure that we're reminding ourselves and the clients about all of that.
Yeah, like you said, all ships rise in the tide. My grandfather used to always say that too. And I think it's absolutely essential. And that's why I'm so deeply dedicated to just helping people and designers and, with our YouTube channel and just trying to help people understand the nuances of what we do because education is powerful. I know what it's like to be kept outside the gates, the
Mm-hmm.
gatekeeping that I experience. And I'm just doing whatever I can to stop that from happening with the next generation of young talent coming up in the ranks in our industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us a little bit now about your practice and like the projects that you love taking on and how often, I mean, because you're a busy guy, like how often are you like in your studio designing or tell us about that.
Oh God. Well, I will say, I'll say I work 70 to 80 hours a week.
Oh my goodness.
So it is intense. I mentioned to you in our little, pre-call, warm up, I had in the last 5 weeks, I've been in Amsterdam, Boston, High Point Market, New York a few different times, Richmond, Virginia, and as of last night, Memphis, Tennessee. I think I mentioned Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For client work, for book tour, for, of course, High Point Market launching of, new product
Mm-hmm.
with our writing collection with iCodes and also shopping for our client projects. So it's our licensing thing is a big thing. We have a very massive licensing arm right now that's constantly evolving and expanding. I've got a great team. I've got a
Yeah.
great team. They are truly the connective tissue to my success. I can do nothing without my team. They're just such an incredible band of mutants, I like to call them. They're really talented, funny, down to earth, super special human beings. And we're like a work family. You have your biological family and then you have your logical family.
Mm.
And our biological family, am I in our garden here at the atelier like I am right now as much as I want to? No. I am happiest when I'm here in the garden at our New York. I'm happiest when there's no one here and I can just design and pull things together. But our team has figured out how to do a lot of our design communication virtually,
Yeah.
FaceTime, Zoom, Asana. We have other programs that we use to kind of keep each other honest as far as what we're working on. We look at network, and I have very, very understanding clients who actually rejoice in our success. I think any client that begrudges his or her designer having a multi-hyphenate business or a multi-hyphenate approach to their brand is someone that is just kind of selfish because as creatives, we need to be able to diversify how we bring
Hmm.
in. I'm sorry, we just do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
No,
all of us have a wealthy spouse or have a silver spoon in our mouths as a hedge fund baby. Some of us actually have to work and make this happen. And that means diversifying ways to get income.
yeah. No, that's a great approach. And the team really is, I'm sure, just the answer to how you can kind of be creative director and then they're putting it into place and putting it into action. How many people are on your team now?
We have 8 core, I would say core staff members. And that includes like directors and managers and senior staff members. And then we have a host of independent contractors and interns. And then we have our PR agents. I have 2 different PR teams. One that handles editorial. You've worked with our lovely team there, Laura
Hmm.
and Sophia and Grace. And then we have a television PR team that's strictly about podcast and
Hmm.
television and media and YouTube and, late night talk show appearances and stuff like that. And then Adam oversees our accounting team, our HR team. Yeah, I have 2 different types of lawyers, one for licensing, one for
Hmm.
general in-house counsel. So it's a pretty big arrangement around the CDJ brand, but at the core of it are, I would say, 8 people that are
Hmm.
overseeing all those different departments and all those different independent contractors and companies that are tied to us in different ways.
Okay, that's quite the organization. So you mentioned that you are working many hours, and is that like, I'm just curious if you are where you thought you would be when you started your career, or are you on your way to where you want to be?
Not where I thought I would be, but definitely on my way. If I had answered your question, Sam, I'm exactly where I wanted to be. That would, I think, reveal a bit of complacency on my part. Grass will never grow under my feet. And I'm never going to run out of meeting people in my career, in my travels who don't need encouragement, especially young people, especially designers who we gaslight ourselves. We can be so hard on ourselves. We beat ourselves up when the phone doesn't ring. Am I not talented enough? Am I not good enough? Why isn't anyone calling me for business? And then some of us have very toxic, environments. It could be at the office, it could be with a client, it could be with a spouse. And creative people, because they're naturally caregivers, they absorb it all, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what their star sign might be. They're
Mm-hmm.
all pretty watery individuals as far as, absorbing all that negative toxins from other humans. And so we can become damaged, through all of that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
always meeting people in my travels. And I love being able to be a sounding board for them and to help them with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that work will continue to go on. I've got probably another 30 years in this before I'm
Mm-hmm.
really ready to, lay down the gauntlet. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, too much work to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah, no, I get that. So I think that would probably really encapsulate your why too, why you keep doing what you're doing, why you're working so hard is helping all of these other designers to see and to be better and to help where you can and offer insight. Yeah, I love that. And so let's talk about your books too. So you have two.
Yeah.
The first one was about your Detroit area. Was that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Design Remix. Yeah, Design Remix came out in 2021, and that covered mostly Michigan, Midwest projects,
Okay.
Michigan, Minneapolis. There was a little bit of New York, some Connecticut, and also some New Jersey projects in that first book. So yeah, that one was very successful, and it led to its sequel, which just came out this past September, which is Design Reimagined.
Right. And we know that one's quite successful. So tell us a little bit about this one.
Design Reimagined is really fun. It's a much bigger book than Design Remix. I think that it's been so well received because I think people can see themselves in a very clear way with the way how the book is formatted, the storylines that we're sharing, again, talking about delays, not meaning denial. That's one of my themes in the book. My own
Mm,
personal story, but also how it kind of weaves into helping clients figure out their dreams. And again, not being denied what may seem to be delayed in arriving. The need to be okay with changing course if you need to make a career change or a change in relationships with your spouse or your job, whatever the case may be. So I think that is different than what most design coffee table books do.
hmm.
They often just have great pictures of great, pretty rooms. And we
Yeah.
have that. But we
Yeah.
also talk about like keeping it like really real and down to earth
Yeah.
and like, just it's funny. It has jokes. It's more down to earth, a bit more, I think, it doesn't take itself as seriously. It also comes with its own television series. It's the first time we've ever seen a coffee table book ever in history be accompanied with its own fully fleshed out YouTube channel that is dedicated to investigating the makings of the homes that are featured in the book. So our
Mm,
first season covered the renovation of the home that's featured on the front cover and the first chapter of the book. The second season covers the second home in the second chapter of the book, and so on and so forth. My private home's coming up here pretty soon on one of the upcoming seasons, and we're filming seasons 3, 4, and 5 right now. And so it's going to be fun to see how Design Reimagined, I think, takes the narrative further with the marriage of print, which we love,
hmm.
with media. And then
Hmm.
people can follow along in the book, like a textbook almost, where they're
Yeah.
watching a YouTube show. And it's kind
Yeah.
of fun. Yeah.
That is cool. I like that, mixing the media together. I don't know, for whatever reason, it made me think of like being little and having like the read along like records, like you're reading the book
Yes.
and someone's reading it to you, like
Yeah.
having both media,
Absolutely.
it really helps it stay with you. And so I like that idea though, at your YouTube channel and everything. Of course, we'll put links to all of this in the show notes so people can find you and discover it and love it. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up here, but I just wanted to maybe get your advice that you would give to someone who's starting their career that maybe you wish had been given to you if anyone was willing to at the time. What do you say to people now?
I would say to people now, be kind to yourself. It's going to take time and it's going to be okay. I think that, as I mentioned earlier on our show, we can be very hard on ourselves as creatives. And that I think speaks to the greater human condition, Rebecca. I think that humans can be capable of so many beautiful acts of kindness and also breathtaking acts of cruelty. And some of the most awful acts of cruelty are against ourselves. It's when we're laying at home in bed at night and all these horrible voices are coming in telling us about where we failed during the day and you could have done this better. And look at this person's Instagram. They have 1 million followers. Why don't you? And this last post only got 20 likes and this other guy's post got 5,000. What are you doing wrong? The algorithm hates you, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
All
and
that
so it's,
comparison.
right. And they always say that comparison is the greatest thief of joy. And it really is true. And so we lay up there in the bed and we just think about, oh my God, am I ever going to get this business off the ground? Why is
Mm.
this not taking shape? And so in Design Reimagined, I mentioned in the dedication of the book, I said, to remember that broken crayons still color.
I love that.
Broken crayons can still color, and that delays do not mean denial. So I think that the designers who are coming in,
Mm.
you are entering a very exciting but tumultuous time in our industry. The rise of AI is a real thing. The economy and how it's just all over the place is also a real thing. But design firms like mine have been born during the worst of it all,
Mhm.
right? So it's not that it can't be done. It's just a matter of how much do you want it. I would also say to surround yourself with only people who are in your genuine fan club. Anyone that is not supportive of your vision to become an interior designer and to see this business dream of yours through to fruition, you should limit your association with them or eliminate them from your orbit altogether. I think for myself, my father and his view of things as far as design I think sapped my strength really early on. I'll share with your listeners, Rebecca, there was a room that I did early on in my career. It was actually door number 780. It was the house after 779. I kept knocking on doors after that era because I had to keep bringing in
Yeah.
revenue, right?
Yeah.
Door number 780 is a little exclusive for your audience. I've not really told
I
the
love
story before, but
it.
I'll drop it for you. It was a very beautiful project. I was very proud of it. But the clients had a very worldly, cultured, kind of view of design. She really wanted a real mix and medley of colors and textures and a mix of European with African design with a mix of like some Brazilian elements and a touch of some Art Deco. It was very eclectic, a very eclectic design. So it was a really big mix and match and medley of different elements. And I was so proud of it. I was so proud of it that I actually hired a professional photographer, the same one that did the 779 house, to
Hmm.
shoot this house. I made the mistake of showing my father this house.
Hmm.
And I remember him looking at it. And, remember, I had lost my other job. So it's not like I hadn't done what he had asked me to do to be the real man, to get the real job. But I had told him about pursuing design, and he was so like just so down on it. Like
Hmm.
you just so when I showed him these photos, I was like, I'm proud of it. I'm 31
Yeah.
years old. Here's my latest work. And he said, "This is what you call design? That's what you call decorating?" And he said, you could have fooled me. Rebecca, when I tell you that took the breath out of my lungs and every ounce of wind out of my sails. You will never find that room anywhere on the
Wow.
internet. You will never find it in any of my books. And I really should drop it because I'm still
Mm.
proud of it. But it's amazing how our parents or our spouses or our best friends or our people that we hold in high esteem, how they can cut us down to size so quickly in such a way that's almost irrevocably, the damage is just, you just can't undo it.
Yeah.
And that's why I realized, okay, I'm not showing you anything else
Mm.
ever again.
Hmm.
So I would tell your listeners who are coming into this, Only show your work to people who are going to lift you up and pour into you. Anyone else, you have nothing to prove to those people. If you know they're negative, if you know they're pessimistic, you do not have to prove your chops to them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bother wasting your efforts with people like that because it's toxic. Just go towards the light, go towards the people who are actually like in your corner and beating your drums for success, and then watch it all take shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got chills listening to you talk about that. But that was so transformative. And I mean, what a story. But designers often, I think, struggle with those boundaries of saying no to those people in their lives that can be toxic because I don't know if maybe more designers are a little more, we have to be open to hearing and being sensitive to what our clients are saying and wanting and needing and all of that stuff. So I think that just naturally type of people who are open to that and we want to be open to anyone who wants to give their opinion. It's hard to set boundaries. And so I'm glad that you did. But maybe it would be a restorative type of event if you did drop those photos. I don't know. So maybe you think about that.
Okay, well, so get this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to post that image on social media, on Instagram. It's going to get 100 likes because of the algorithm. And then I'm going to be like, no one
likes it. You'll do all that comparison. Oh, my other posts get a million likes.
I should have posted it 2 years ago before Instagram changed its algorithm. And getting better, and then all my followers would see it. But you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Though.
Yeah.
It's that through line, that baseline of being hard on ourselves and just really recognizing that we really have nothing to prove to anyone but ourselves. And I do think that designers do need to be a bit tougher about how they run their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to get away from showing so many options to clients. And really,
I agree.
You are the professional. It's not about, here are some options. No, here's my recommendation. Shouldn't we be following the trends? I don't follow trends. I set them.
Yes, you do.
Right. So that's kind of, I think we need to be, if we empower ourselves from that angle, Rebecca, then we do protect ourselves from the inevitable toxic negativity that could be heaped on us if we're too open with being people pleasers. There has to be more of a balance with all of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing. And I know that everyone's going to run out and check you out, get your books, and just follow along and, go up and say hi, I'm sure, at the next market. And yeah, so anything else you want to share before we go today?
I'm only 5'9". Don't be afraid to say hi.
Okay. Yeah, very approachable. So thank you so much, Corey. It's great having you.
Thanks for having me.
As you can see, he's just a wonderful person, very giving, a natural mentor, which of course I love and align with. So you are definitely going to want to check him out. Check out his Instagram, and all of his links are in the show notes. And he's got some great product collections. I loved seeing all the new stuff with iCults. Just a lot of fun in his style. So check him out. And while you're in the show notes, you can find all the free downloads that I have for you, links to my design mentor, and everything else you're going to need to get your career launched the right way. All right, that's all I have for you this week. Next week, we'll have another great episode. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.